Україно, рідна земля мати, Господь, Отець наш Небесний, благословіть.
Pledges of support in Europe come just as Ukrainian armed forces announce a setback. Michaela was alluding to this, their withdrawal from the eastern town of Avdiivka after months of heavy fighting. Ukraine's new army head, Alexander Syrsky, said troops were being pulled out in order to avoid being encircled. Russian forces have been attempting to capture the ruined town since October, reportedly with heavy casualties. It's Russia's biggest success on the battlefield since it took the city of Bakhmut last May, following another fierce battle. Let's bring in Marina Miron, War Studies Department, King's College London. She joins me from Munich too. Ukrainian troops withdrew from the devastated eastern town of Avdiivka. Can this potentially lead to a snowball effect that will pave the way for Russia's advance?
I think it's a huge boost for the Russians, both in terms of gaining military strategic ground in Avdiivka and also for the morale of the troops, especially considering that this is happening pre-election in Russia. And this is also happening as President Zelensky has changed the commander of the armed forces. So I think that the Russians are sensing here that there are divisions within the government and the military. The Ukrainian troops are exhausted. Their morale is not as high as it was at the very beginning of the war. And they also lack artillery shells, meaning that they will try to push in order to break, according to what the Russians were saying, the capability of the Ukrainian armed forces to offer any resistance. So we might not see very fast advances. It might be slow. However, the idea is to grind the Ukrainian military.
So a big win for Russia, but what? Are you saying that this won't dramatically reshape the conflict in any way?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it has many meanings, this victory for Russia. It will help improve its positions, and it opens up a way for a Western offensive. So now having Avdiivka and Bakhmut, the Russians can sort out their logistics, and they can develop their offensives in different directions now having these two cities. One possible direction would be Sloviansk and Kramatorsk. They have a huge contingent as well in Zaporizhia. Another direction could be Kupiansk, for instance, and we're seeing activities all around. We don't know where exactly they will be going, but this gives logistics, of course, a huge advantage because they wouldn't be able to develop an offensive towards the western part of Ukraine without having proper logistics and knowing that the Ukrainians still have some medium-range weapons in order to target Russian logistical nodes. So this is very important.
Well, talking about logistics and weapons, this loss for the Ukrainians in Avdiivka, is that putting pressure on allies to support Ukraine more?
Of course, it is putting pressure on allies, and I think the fact that Alexander Syrsky decided to pull out the troops coinciding with the Munich Security Conference, this shows the allies that Ukraine cannot survive, at least cannot resist militarily without aid from Western partners. And the problem here is, of course, how quickly can this aid be delivered to Ukraine? Because the time here is of critical matter. The Ukrainian troops will be falling back to their defensive positions, possibly near Konstantinivka and Kramatorsk. That being said, they still don't have enough artillery shells in order to fend off the Russian pushes. And also they don't have air defenses because, as we have seen, the Russians are now starting to coordinate their air power with their land component, meaning that they can drop those FAB bombs, the gliding bombs, on Ukrainian positions, which also gives them a certain advantage when moving forward.
Can you also tell us what we can expect moving forward with this new head of the armed forces?
Well, we shall see how Alexander Syrsky is going to act He's coming from a Soviet school, so he's very different to General Zaluzhny. However, considering the options on the battlefield, there is a limited amount of time and resources in order to plan for something. So I think that maybe Alexander Syrsky will wait and concentrate the forces in order to push in Zaporizhia if the Russian armed forces do not manage to get the Ukrainians out of Zaporizhia. So that could be one potential attempt at a counteroffensive. However, again, this will depend on many factors in terms of will Ukraine get air power on time, will Ukraine get artillery shells on time, and another option would be doing what General Zaluzhny already wanted to do, is to create a defense system similar to the Russian one in order to stop the Russians from moving any further west.
The latest there from Marina Miron. Many thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.